Hi guys, today I'm going to address the issue of interior lighting that's designed to be seen from the outside. So I have here a scene as Samant's house on a hill. On Daz Studio it's fantastic, on Poser not fantastic, it didn't come with decent lights. A bit lazy in my opinion, but it's a nice set. So if I render this, what I've done is I've used Ken 11's HDRI control to create a sunset background. And this is how this set comes. Let me just zoom in a little bit. This is how the set comes. It's got a few ambient lamps on the balcony, a few ambient lights down here, but there's no lighting provided for the set. So this HDRI is creating global illumination, I guess you'd say, indirect lighting, whatever. But what I want to do is add some life to the windows. So the first thing that you're thinking is, okay, let's just put some point lights inside um, to represent light bulbs. So let's do that now. So we'll create a light over here and we'll create a point light. And the first thing is when you want to start positioning things inside buildings, you want to turn the display to wireframe so that you can see inside. So I go down here, click on wireframe, and now I can see inside as well as out. And here's the light that I've just created. So we'll call that dining point. So what we're going to do is we're going to move it into this dining room here. So let me just go to the top camera so that I can see where it is. And okay, so it's totally invisible at the moment. So let me just set that to 0, that in the Z direction, so it's in the center of the scene and it's below ground level. Okay, so where is it? Okay, so sometimes when you have an object like this that's gone missing, what you can do is you can just go up to display and do object style and just change it to flat shaded, so then it shows up a little bit more clearly. The other thing is to do this option here, which is frame selected, and then what that will do is it will move the camera so that it's around the object you've selected. Now that's too close, but it's a point for zooming out, and now that's the center of the view and I can see exactly where it is. So it's over here. And the last thing you can do is just increase, when it comes to the light, you can just increase the scale. So we'll increase that to 500%. And now it's nice and easy to see as we move it into position. So I'm going to grab that. Let me just move this across so as I can see what I'm doing. So I want to put it kind of here in the living room. So I move this across, and you're going to think this is nice and obvious, but there's a few little caveats sometimes when we're doing this kind of thing. So I know now that in the above view, it's in exactly the right X and Z position. So now I'm going to go to front view, in my case, F for front. And I just want to see how high it is. So you can see here it's too high up in the scene probably. So you're thinking here, possibly, okay, I want that to shine out of these windows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower it down here so that it can be seen in the windows. Now M for main. And now I'm just going to quickly render that scene, and you'll see that that's not actually the best place to put it. Okay, so what we've got here is a circle. It looks as if we're seeing the light, but in actual fact, what we're seeing is a reflection of the light off the glass of this window here. So what we actually need to do is hide this up in the ceiling where a normal light bulb would be. So we're just going to move that up. We're okay to do it in this view. Oh, that's X, doesn't matter. We're going to move that up. So now it's hidden in the roof somewhere. As long as you don't get so high, it's above here. And I'm just going to change the color here with the color picker to something just slightly yellow. There you go. When you're doing lights to show through windows, kind of darkish yellow, well, palish yellow or a pale orange usually works best. Orange creates a mysterious look, yellow creates a cozy look. And now if I render that, Hopefully that reflection will be gone. And now we've got that nice cozy. Now you'll notice something weird happened here. That illuminated the whole house, even though we only put one here. And I'm going to show you something else that's going to explain why that's a problem. So I'm going to take that light, so that's called dining point, and I'm going to go edit, duplicate dining point. And now the duplicate I'm going to rename. So I go to the here, I choose lights, dining point 1, and then properties, and I'm going to change that now to upper room. And you're going to see a problem. And this is just a really useful thing to understand about your lighting when you're setting lights up like this. So I'm going to do F for front view. You won't have these keys unless you've set up the keyboard shortcuts, which by the time you see this, hopefully you'll see that I've uploaded a video on how to create shortcuts. And I'm going to move that across so it's inside that room. And as I already explained, we want to hide it above the window line so you don't get reflections in the window. Now we'll go T for top. And there you go, it's not buried too deeply. You know, if it was miles back here, it wouldn't work. M for main. So now what you're thinking is that you're going to get a nice glow out of here as we got a glow from here. Just to reiterate, here was the previous render. So this light here illuminated the whole of the downstairs, but not upstairs. So that tells you that there's a layer here, polygons here, stopping that light from shining through, which you'd expect. It's a floor layer. Okay, but now if I render with that light up here, hidden up in this kind of Eve area, you'll see that that doesn't illuminate. Why is that doing that? We know the light is up there. If we do T for top, we can see the lights there. F for front. Oops. F for front in the right place. Right, this is something that took me a while to figure out. If I go to my A for auxiliary camera, we can zoom in a lot closer and we can see what's going on in this scene. And this is, again, kind of lazy modeling. What you'll find is that a lot of sets are modeled to be viewed only from the outside. Now, interestingly, this set actually has an inside. You can buy inside stuff for it, and there is on the downstairs, just to really throw you, there is an inside with comfy chairs and goodness knows what. So why they decided to get lazy about the upstairs, I don't know. But if you look at the upstairs, you'll see it's completely empty all the way back. So unless you, with a point light, if you can't see the light, it doesn't, how can I put it? It's not glowing. It's the air around it doesn't glow the color of the light. If you just think of a light in your room, and look at that, ignoring the light shade, now turn the light on, ignoring the light shade, the air around the light bulb is not glowing because it's not dense enough for the light to reflect off. So what we have here is an empty void, and worse still, down here, this kind of floor area is actually textured the same as the roof. So there is a solution to this, but it won't always work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my content library. So here's my content library. I'm going to go into primitives, and I'm just going to choose square here. So now what that's done is added a square to my scene. And you might be thinking, well, what the heck do you need a square for? Let me just take that square and do the same thing we did with the light to make it visible. Display, object style, flat shaded. And so now you can see the squares down there. And we're going to move that square up into the upper bedroom area. So you'll see that's there. Let's just have a quick look in the top view to see how far back it is. Oh, it's a plane, so it's going to be very hard to see, but it's here, exactly where the light is. So we're going to go back to our front view. And what we need to do is make that square big enough to fill this area. So I'm just going to change the X and Y scale here. And I'm going to do the Y scale as well. So this is a hack designed to compensate for the fact that they did a bad job with the modeling. And I want to move that back now. So I want it to be just behind this light. So I don't have to move it far, just a little. There we go. And now hopefully in the main view, when I render, there's something for that light to bounce off. Now, I don't know how that's going to work with the eaves of the light auxiliary view. Let's have a look. Is that sticking through the eaves? No, it's not. So it's completely, oh no, might be sticking out. Yeah. Okay. We'll have to adjust that. And this is the shortfall with this technique. So you can see the lights here, but I actually want this to be kind of not a million miles away from the light, but you'll see, right? So I'm just going to move it forwards. So here's the light that we're illuminating. This is our bounce, and we'll see whether or not it sticks out of the roof. Oh, it's going to definitely stick out of the roof, yeah. Okay, but you see now that we've got the light is bouncing off this, so it's a dirty hack, and it's really it only needs to be big enough to fill the window anyway. So let's change that X scale down. Move it, scale it here, Y scale a bit. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, that's kind of doing the job. There's a little bit of clip on the corner there. And what I might do for the upstairs light is change it to more of an orangey color. And that's kind of achieved the effect we're looking for. Obviously, it depends on the camera position as well. Oops, I'm moving the light. I want to move this plane. Let me just move that across a little bit, see if we can get rid of that clipping. Obviously, this is going to be very view dependent, and ideally we would have had a triangle shaped plane here to put into place, but you know, that's a bit more trouble than this is worth, to be honest. Okay, so this little clip angle here is the angle of the roof. I don't know why that's black. I would have hoped that the light would reflect off it. But anyway, you get the idea. So now we've got a glow coming out of here. An alternative would have been simply to take that plane and then give it an ambient color and then a value of 1 or whatever you want. So I could make that orange and then give that value. That's another way of achieving the same thing. Now, the other thing we've got is this light spill from this room, which is filling the whole rest of the house. So my alternative solution here would be to do the same thing, which is to bring a plane into the scene. So we're just going to choose another square, and we're going to, so you can see it down here. Just bring that up a little bit, make it visible. Display object style, flat shaded. And now we're going to start to make that bigger in Y. So I want it, okay, so it scales from the bottom, not from the center. I want it to fill up to the ceiling here. Oops, a daisy. Scale, not translate. There you go. And I want it to be as wide as the house, so R for right in my case. If you don't have keyboard shortcuts set up, that's not going to work for you. Okay, nope, that's not going to work yet because I need to rotate it. So I'm going to rotate it by 90 degrees. It doesn't matter whether I do plus or minus 90 because it's going to occlude this way. So I'll just go back to that camera view roughly here. So we'll go to A for auxiliary. So here's our blocker basically, and we're going to do scale, X scale, and I just want it to fill that hole downstairs. So what's that? It's 1,000. Let's do 5,000. See how that looks. Okay, and how much of that is that blocking? Move that back here. I don't want it to stick out the rest of the house. So these are really cheesing solutions, but they're cheesing solutions for a badly designed house, to be honest. So let's give that a render, see what that gives us. Of course, so there you go. It's cut off this light here. Of course, the danger is that you might now see this plane where you don't want to see the plane. You know, it will show up as another wall. But you see, that's a nice way of cutting off the light to the rest of the house. So these are just a few little cheats that you can use to get around poorly designed sets, or maybe not poor's possibly the wrong word, you know. If the house is designed just to be externally viewed, then that's fine, and it's a lot more work to do the interior. I personally think it would have been nice if they had, but you know, people do what they want to do, I guess. So okay, so I'm just going to shrink that down a bit, push that back in so it's inside. Should probably be doing this in the top view, but again, you can't see planes in the top view. Let's try it. There you go, that's a better view. Okay, so that's kind of up against the wall. Move it over there a little bit. And now main camera view. And render there. Now, last thing is, as I mentioned earlier, Ambient doesn't have much throw. So this is where this set was badly designed. The Samant, who I presume is the creator, he did a DAS and a poser version, and on the DAS version, there's actual lights on every one of these and on these lamps. But on the so it casts light pools. But on the poser version, he didn't bother, which I think was absolutely terribly lazy. So what I've just done, if you're interested in that, is I've just created point lights on each of these. I didn't bother with these. I didn't notice them, to be honest. And they're all turned off at the moment. I'm just going to turn them all on one after the other. And I also created a rear light. And what that will do is it's going to give a bit of life here, and it's going to give a rim to the roof. So basically, a rim light for the whole scene. So now when we render that, so incidentally, I mean, sometimes having that silhouette there with a tree can be really, really nice, or the house silhouette. I love that look. But as you see, once I've added these other lights in, it just gives the scene an awful lot more life to it. So this is a little bit, I would say the mood that this creates is more isolated, whereas this mood is a bit more cozy. And I would probably increase the brightness of that light, change it to an orange perhaps. So let's go into that light there. I don't know why I did that when I could have just clicked on the light chooser there. That was weird. I do that sometimes. I forget the optimal way to get there. And change the light intensity here to, let's say 300%. Let's overdo it. It's a bit like, do you remember when you were at school and you learned how to estimate numbers. And what you'd do is you'd go, supposing you were trying to guess a number between 1 and 100, you'd start off going 0, then you'd go 100, and then you'd gradually whittle it down, then you go halfway. So you do a large amount of brightness, and then you gradually decrease the brightness till you get to the level you want. Again, I don't think there's an internal wall here, so that's not reflecting as you might hope it might. Again, I could put a wall inside that window to make it to inside the house at the back, to give the light something to reflect back out of. But hopefully those couple of tips there will just give you some thoughts when you're trying to illuminate houses from the inside, and they're not built well. These are the problems that you're going to encounter. But hopefully that gives you some solutions, and I will speak to you again soon.